Hey Geometry, I've got the 6.4 notes for you. All we're going to do here is go through side, 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 angle, side, angle, and angle, angle, side congruence postulates to give you some practice on how to identify how those congruence postulates prove two triangles are congruent. Okay, so I got a lot of examples here, and there are a number of examples on the homework that's larger than normal, but I think practice and exposure to each type of problem will set you guys up for success. So starting with number one, all we're doing with this first section is stating if the true triangles are congruent, and if they are, state how you know. What I would do if I were you guys is maybe just go through the entire note sheet on your own, see if you've got a pretty good idea of what the answers are, and then watch me as I work through it, and I think you'll find you got this down for the most part. All right, number one. These two triangles share this side right here. So if you're thinking about, this side's congruent to itself. This side's congruent to itself. You've got an angle that's congruent to an angle over here. And then you've got another side with another side. Side, angle, side. So yes, side, angle, side. That's all we're doing so far. We're stating if the two triangles are congruent. Yes, they are. How? Because of the side angle side postulate. Next one. This side is shared, so it's congruent to itself. I think we saw one very similar to that on the notes that I just posted on 6.3. Angle with angle, side to itself, angle to angle. So this is yes. And it's angle, side, angle. Number three, we've got a shared side for these two triangles. It's congruent to itself. So we've got a side congruent to itself with a side congruent to a side of the other triangle with a side congruent to the side of the last triangle. Side, 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 side. Yes, the side, side, side triangle congruence postulate makes the congruence statement happen. Number four. Oh, we're just rolling along here. Vertical angles are congruent with each other. So remember, if two lines intersect like this, they create a pair of vertical angles, which means these two are going to be congruent when they're across from each other every time. Angle with an angle. Side with a side. Angle with an angle. Angle, side, angle, yes. Wow, 4 for 4 on the congruence here. I wonder if we're going to get a not possible soon. All right, number 5. We've got a side with a side. We've got an angle with an angle. And then there's no discernible information that says anything else about the remaining angles or the remaining side. And last time I checked, there is no triangle congruence postulate that only requires one side and one angle to correspond with the other triangle in congruence. Not possible. So maybe they're congruent. If they are, we have no way of telling. Number 6. Looks like we have the one from above in which we just flipped it on its side. So this angle is certainly congruent to that angle. Angle, angle, side, side, angle, angle. Angle, side, angle, yes. Check out number 7 down here. It looks like we've got a side congruent to this side. Now, on the triangle down here, it's the angle that's between two sides, okay? So, this angle that's between two sides is not the angle that should be between two sides here. So, yes, we've got both a side, side, and an angle here, and a side, side angle here, but this one does not have the angle included between the two sides that are posted congruent. angles between the sides that are congruent, angle not in between the two sides are congruent. So because this angle is misplaced, it's not in between like it should be, they are not congruent, or at least it's not possible for us to prove them congruent. Yeah, that one's tricky. Yeah, this one's almost like it yields a side angle side right here. Yet this one has a side angle, which isn't even its own congruence postulate. Not a thing, at least for congruence. All right, check out number 8. I don't know, that's pretty straightforward. Side to side, side to side, side to side. Side. Yes. They are congruent because of the side triangle congruence postulate. All right, and then the last two where we are just determining congruence and backing it up with one of the postulate statements. On number 9, we've got the vertical angles are congruent to one another. Side, angle, side. Yeah. And then last one, the shared side is certainly congruent to itself. 3 tick marks congruent to 3 tick marks, 2 to 2, and 1 to itself. Right, so hopefully the last 7 minutes of this video was super helpful for clarifying how you take 2 triangles and prove them to be congruent either using side, angle, side, angle, side, or angle, side, angle. Flipping over to the next page. Yeah, this is kind of like saying we've got 2 triangles that are named to one another. For the most part, they don't have enough information to prove congruence. Your job is to state, if we wanted to use the angle side angle postulate, what piece of information or pieces of information are required to make that conclusion. So on number 1, we know that UT is congruent to itself because it shares those sides. It's not extra information that they need to tell us. It's information that we can glean from the actual diagram here. But what we do need to know is that this angle is congruent to this angle in order to create an angle, side, angle situation. So here's what you do. What additional information is required? You need to say that angle TUD is congruent to TUS. That's the extra information that you need to provide in order to make an ASA triangle congruence explanation. Move on to number 12. We've got another shared side scenario. Vx is certainly congruent to itself. In order to create side angle side, though, we need side angle. We need this side right here to be proven congruent to this side over here. So what you can do is mark up your triangle document. By the way, it's got to be the side that with the shared side creates the congruent angle. So you see how XK and XV together they create that 90-degree angle? You're trying to do the same thing down here. XV with WV creates that right angle. So it can't be XW and KV to create side angle side. It's got to be XK has to be congruent to VW. And that would create side angle side. Moving on to number 13. It's another side angle side scenario. Side, angle, side. It's got to be this side because the two congruent pairs of sides have to have the angle included in between them. The angle has to be in between these two sides that have been shown congruent. So you need to say AC is congruent to JL. And then that would prove the side angle side postulate. All right, angle side angle. We have two angles shown congruent. The sides between them, this side and this side, would need to be shown as congruent. Now, if you want to keep absolute what's the word I'm looking for? Correspondence. Then you would say DE single dome to double dome is congruent to JK, single dome to double dome. And then on 15 and 16, side angle side would need to be congruent to side angle side. It's got to be JI congruent to TS. Angle side angle would need to be shown congruent. So you'd have to show angle L is congruent to angle T. And then lastly, this side is shared with itself, so you would not need to state that. However, you would need to state that RS is congruent to DQ. So to get side, 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 congruent to itself, side, side, side. We don't have DQ and RS being the same, so we'd have to state that. All right, class 1. Vertical angles are inherently true always, so you don't need to state that that's an initial given condition. However, side, angle, side would need to be stated. So you'd have to say WV and MV would have to be congruent. All right, 13 and a half minutes later, we've gotten through the notes. I hope this was helpful for you guys. If you seem kind of lost, find somebody who you think has taken this class before or knows a thing or two about previous geometry math classes, and just sit down and watch the video with them and see if they can help you glean any knowledge from it. So, thanks for watching. Please let me know if you have any questions or if this is still kind of confusing to you guys, and I'll do my best to answer it. Thanks.